Are you a grade 8 learner who have a difficulty in understanding the first week of the Module 1 in Science 8, Quarter 1? This video is the right for you. Listen and familiarize carefully the succeeding episodes of this video. You will learn and understand the principles and concepts of forces. See you and good luck. But before we go on, let's give attention to the first Most Essential Learning Competency or MELC. The most essential learning competency of this lesson is investigate the relationship between the amount of force applied and the mass of the object to the amount of change in the object's motion. For our review, let us answer the following questions. Number 1. Which of the following describes a force? A pull only. B, a push only. C, a push or pull or both. D, neither a push nor a pull. The correct answer is letter C. Number 2. The Earth has a bigger mass than the Moon. If you were able to travel to the Moon, what happens to your weight? A, increases. B, decreases. C, stays the same. D, varies with day and night. The correct answer is letter B. Number 3. Which force always pulls the objects to the ground? A, applied. B, friction. C, gravitational. D, tension. The correct answer is letter C. Force can be operationally defined based on observed effects. This means that a force can be described in terms of what it does. However, forces do not always cause motion. It does not necessarily follow that forces acting on an object will always cause it to move. Examples of situations where forces have tendency of changing the motion of an object or not are the following. A flying bee. At rest object like laptop above the table. A rotating earth. A gift above the table. In grade 7, you learned acceleration, displacement, and velocity. Acceleration is the rate of change of the velocity of an object with respect to time. Example, the initial velocity of a helicopter is 20 meters per second and the final velocity is 25 meters per second. Therefore the acceleration is 0.5 meters per second squared. Displacement is a vector whose length is the shortest distance from the initial to the final position of a point. It is the shortest distance from the initial position of a moving object to final position of a moving object. Velocity is defined as a vector measurement of the rate and direction of motion. Example, the dinosaur runs in 5 meters per second. Most of the motions we come across in our daily life are caused primarily by force. To understand the concepts of forces, examine the effects of force on the ball. Is the ball at rest? Yes. How can you make the ball move? The ball must be pushed or pulled. What happens to the ball when you push it with enough force? The ball moves in the same direction as the force. While it is moving, how can you make the ball stop? Exert a force opposite the motion of the ball. How can we make the ball change its direction? The ball must be pushed sideways. Let us remember the following terms. Magnitude refers to the size or strength of the force. It is commonly expressed in Newton or N for meter kilogram second or MKS system. In the International System of Units or SI units, Newton is commonly used, which is named after Sir Isaac Newton, an English physicist and mathematician. Direction points to where the object goes. The direction of the arrowhead indicates the direction of the force. The length of the arrow represents the amount of force, relative magnitude. Point of application, the location of where the force is applied. Line of action, is the straight line passing through the point of application and is parallel to the direction of force. There are two types of force, namely, contact forces, forces where objects touch or contact with each other. Examples of contact forces, example number 1. Applied, a force given to a person or object by another person or object. Its symbol is F depending on who or what applies force to the object. If a boy applies a force to a wall, we denote it with F sub boy. Example number 2. Friction, is the force acting against or opposite an object in contact with which makes the movement of the object slow down. Friction always opposes the motion of an object. Its symbol is written as F sub F. Normal, is the force that acts perpendicular to the surface of the object in contact with. Tension, it is the force applied to string, rope, chain, or cable. Its symbol is T. Non-contact forces, forces where objects do not touch or contact with each other. These forces act over a zone or area called field. Example number 1. Gravitational, is the force of attraction between two objects. In the case of the Earth, this gravitational force causes objects to fall to the ground. It makes satellites and smaller objects stay in orbit near the more massive planets. Mass and distance of the two objects affect the gravitational force that holds them. The bigger the masses of the objects are, the bigger is the gravitational force between them. The closer the objects are, the greater is the gravitational force between them. However, the weight of an object depends on the mass of the celestial body where the object is attracted to. Meaning, we seem to be lighter when we are on the moon than on the Earth. Example number 2. Magnetic are forces exerted on a field of attraction or repulsion as in the case of magnets and other magnetic materials. Magnets and magnetic materials have two poles, the north and south poles. Let us consider that north pole consists of positive charge and south pole consists of negative charge. South and south poles can make force of repulsion and north to north poles can also make force of repulsion. Attraction may occur when two poles are not the same. The north pole and south pole possesses a positive and a negative charges. All in all, the same charge is repelled and different charges attracted. To describe a force, you must know two things. You must know the magnitude and the direction of the force. Suppose two teams are playing tug of war. Each team is pulling with equal magnitude of force, F sub A and F sub B, on the rope but in opposite directions. Neither team can make the other team move. Forces that are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction are called balanced forces. Balanced forces do not cause a change in motion. When balanced forces act on an object at rest, the object will not move. Unbalanced forces, forces that cause a change in the motion of an object are unbalanced forces. Unbalanced forces are not equal and in opposite direction. Suppose that one of the teams in tug of war exerts greater magnitude of force, F sub B, on the ground than the other team. The forces applied on the ground would no longer be equal. One team would be able to pull the other team in the direction of the larger force. Net or resultant force, in an object, there may be several forces acting on it. Net force or resultant force is the sum of all forces acting on an object. Two or more forces in the same line of action exerted on an object are balanced if their effects cancel each other. When an object is at rest, a zero net force would make the object remains at rest. Moreover, when the object is moving, a zero net force would make the object maintain its velocity at a given time interval. On the other hand, when the net force is not zero, the object's velocity will change. A net force exerted to an object at rest may cause the object to move. This video is sincerely created for grade 8 learners to easily understand the principles and concepts of forces. You can see the part 2 of this topic in my other videos. If you like this video, do not forget to click like and subscribe. Thank you.